Thank you, Marius. Thank the organizers, a very good undertaking. The first conference, only the name is so important, the first, and not, I'm sure that we together will create a permanent conference tradition in Georgia. Now, my topic is very complicated. On one side, very easy on the other side. I thought, what can I write down about intending to have MTPL, not having MTPL, but intending to having MTPL. And then I thought that our authors, as I understand Irakli, will also speak about, well, the concept that is in the parliament. So the state of the art is there is a paper, a draft in the parliament. And therefore, I don't know, I thought might be less interesting to write down what is in the draft. The draft is somehow very international. It is talking about the product. It is talking about legal terms. It is talking about a system, and so on. But there are a lot of details which we want to really discuss with you, with experienced people, not only not to make the same mistakes you did somewhere, but not to make other mistakes that you will see, that you understand much better. I like the main story that appeared from the beginning of the day when MTPL was mentioned, that MTPL is a very important tool in insurance awareness raising. It means also that MTPL is something that has to deliver very good service. Because especially in countries like ours, with less tradition of insurance, mass products are very interesting. People may be the first time acquainted with insurance services, and the services must have to be very good. That is a very important story. Also in designing, as we think, the product itself. What is the situation in Georgia? To characterize it, it is not the first mass product in Georgia. We have another mass product already in place in Georgia that is not mandatory. That was never mandatory. It is private voluntary health insurance that something like 600,000 people are taking voluntarily, but which was pushed by government insurance programs. And that is, we have very interesting experiences in Georgia, for example, that it is possible with one shot to shoot 2 rabbits or birds. Different countries take different names for it. But we have had a period where government financed insurance, health insurance programs, which were Medicaid and then Medicare for poor people and for elderly, non-poor elderly, seriously pushed private voluntary insurance. 10 times up in 3 years. And it is remaining despite, so we understand how it works. Good insurance, good service, acquainted, people connected, neighborhoods, families, and so on. Now the second part, but that was the only, these programs lasted for 4 years. Then the government rethought all this and created a government service out of it. But people insured remained. It is not growing, but it is remaining. The other story in Georgia is no one other class of mandatory insurance over years. Therefore, last year was very important because last year the first mandatory insurance was introduced, which is working. It is the MTPL for not in Georgia registered vehicles. It is working in a very interesting way. I think it already 1 year long. It is working in a way of co-insurance with one management entity, and all vehicles coming in are insured. We have no regulation that avoids a vehicle without insurance to enter Georgia. It might be controlled by leaving Georgia, but the penetration rate is very high. So that's also a good signal. The digitalization of the system is also very good. It is interconnected with relevant government agencies. It has a specific method of claims management. So this managing entity of this pool has no own claims managers. It is sending out companies' claims managers according to a certain standard to manage claims occurred. I think also very successful in terms of procedures, in terms of contact with the insured, and so on and so on. But of course, the feeling of how it is affecting now Georgian citizens is not given, because they are mostly foreigners. And there is an asymmetry, of course. Georgians are covered, and they are not covered. And so we have to repair these things. And this new law is also important in that regard. So what I want to say, people in Georgia have some understanding of insurance, have some mass praxis of insurance, but these practices make it somehow elite, because most of the people involved in health insurance are corporate. It means that is the advanced class here somehow. And but motor is a completely different story. Motor is really involving everyone, involving all class of people, and so on and so on, and that therefore we hope very much. But we have to remember the service must be very good. Otherwise, it will not work. And we have in Georgia also practice an example of it. Because Georgia became 97 MTPL law. And this MTPL law was poor in design because it was covering only bodily injuries. So most of the drivers has nothing from it on one side. Then the compensation was very low. And the system of ensuring penetration was also very poor, because it was connected with the technical check, directly connected with the technical check, and plus spread corruption at that time, and so on and so on. So nothing good. And as a result, 4 years of active MTPL in Georgia has not contributed to increased insurance minding. That is also what we learned. So now we understand we need a product that we can serve in a high quality. And now knowing this, we have to understand what is this product. And what we try to communicate also with the government is that introducing MTPL, it is not an issue of one regulatory act. It is maybe, first of all, because it is a system. It is an absolutely new product. Absolutely, it does not exist on the market, yeah? Because no fault regulations, which is a totally unknown idea, yeah, for private products, because it is covering uninsured, unidentified, and so on and so on, all these externalities which are so important, and at the end of the day, even guaranteeing insured against bankruptcy of companies. So it is a system, and this system, to introduce it, we understand it so, it will need 3 to 4 years. And that is also needs a sequencing in the implementation, in the story, how and what we will cover, and how and what we can build on, for example, at the day and the end of the day, bonus-malus systems. The biggest problem when we start to talk about this is penetration, for sure. Because we understand that we are talking about guarantee mechanisms built in. But we don't think that a guarantee fund or a motor has to be an ultimate claims manager by its own. A guarantee fund, we talked with a Polish colleague now, in my understanding, a guarantee fund does not matter how it's structured. The best guarantee fund is when it has nothing to do. It means that the system is functioning absolutely properly. So therefore, the idea we have to build a system, that is how we understand. We can, what we are, from the beginning we have to cover everything that we can cover. We are missing essential statistics. Despite a very well organized police, absolutely uncorrupted police, very highly digitalized police and so on, our information data about motor accidents is very low. We have 1.3 million vehicles and the police is registering 40,000 accidents. It means less than 3%. So it is impossible. So it means we don't know the statistics. Well, from our Casco and MTPL private small portfolio, altogether 80,000 insured vehicles, we have an understanding of the average claim. So on that side, we are a little better positioned. But in reality, we didn't, but it is not representative all over the country because this segment is connected to credits, this segment is connected again to corporate ownership and so on and so on. So it is also not very clear. The other story is that, so we have to be very carefully to start with. And we need a system that is ensuring high penetration. And this system, again, taking into account the digitalization, this word is here said maybe 100 times or 200 times, but it is so, of the police, of our government services, of the companies itself, and what is to be invested in can really guarantee a high penetration. If we go strictly forward, if we compare, I don't know, databases of insured against registered and so on, and I'm sure, but that needs to be fixed. That needs to be fixed legally, because that's not so easy. That is one story. Now, and our understanding is that to cover uninsured vehicles, it is a luxury story after we have a certain understanding of penetration. Before, it is too risky. On the other side, we have quite well-capitalized companies in regard of what is happening now. You know, the minimum capitalization here grew up to 7 million. Expected income from the whole MTPL is, today there was a figure brought in by the lady from the Fitch agency, 125 lari, so it means up to 100 million lari. So the capitalization is done. We are, the interaction with the supervisor is improving every day. The insurers, like mentioned today here, themselves are requesting the supervisor to tighten reserves. For example, some cash reserves not to allow to intermediaries to swallow the whole premium and so on, like it happens in many countries. The story of channels, very important. How to reach out to, to the people and in the same time to guarantee how high competition. that is sometimes a controversy inside, because there are channels which can reach out, but if they are closed, if they are not open to everyone, they might create a high asymmetry. These things are also what we are now trying to improve in the document that is passed to the Parliament. Premium. Yeah, premium is a very complicated issue again, especially in terms when we have poor data, not only for actuarial prognosis, but also for statistical analysis. The government proposed to have a corridor. A corridor means artificially, so otherwise, my understanding, why the government is taking the big load of setting tariffs. Yeah, why? Only because it's understanding that the system is not proper at the moment, statistics is bad and so on, and somehow to protect everyone. And now the government is building from the beginning a corridor, practically to push in, to bring in a price competition. A price competition when most of the data are open. This is also what we want to find arguments that, like shown today, you have to start with easier, no price competition, maybe then a corridor, and then liberalization. Your countries went through it over decades, practically, and we want your experience, your advice how to do it, and how also, because our government has an open ear, but the understanding that MTPL is not just a system by itself, but it has to push forward insurance minding. It is very important. Because as told here many times, MTPL, no money earning. MTPL is a tool for cross-selling, but anyway, this is what we want to assure in the parliamentary debates. There are interesting issues towards the system. The system, call it how it's called, Motor Bureau, as a whole, including guarantee funds and so on and so on and so on. Most of this is in the proposal. What we think is needed to improve is the direct participation of insurers in all of it. For us, for our taste, it is too government controlled. The insurers have to be an essential part of it. The insurers have to be members of the guarantee funds and so on and so on. And they have really to have direct access and control of the processes, plus the government, of course, has the interest to have more control on the product than generally on the insurance business. And this balance is also very important, and we need, again, your advice how to do it properly, because you have huge experience and you have changed your systems many times through the history of MTPL in your countries. And so what I want to use this time which I was given here, I want to ask all of you, people from the system side, people from the supervisor side, and so on, really very actively to assist us within these next 2-3 months in starting MTPL in Georgia in a state of the art that ensures the most important thing, good service. Because if the system, if the insurers are scrutinized and squeezed, no good service will be available. That is clear for every, is coming from the praxis. We need a system that is supporting good service, a system which is answering high expectations also from the government side and from the international side, because in our draft law, there is a direct obligation to be a part of the green card in 3 years, legally. So we need your assistance. We are not only will be very active in communicating with you, and I will again really thank the organizers to have this conference here for this very important time, because next 2-3 months, and of course after, will seriously affect how the MTPL and out of it other insurance services will develop in Georgia. Thank you very much.